Scott Welch, Muscle Insider Magazine with PricePlows. Benjamin Kane, how are you doing today?
Great. It's always a great day in Vegas. Every time we're in town for fitness, I'm always having a great time.
And we're here for SupplySide West. So very
Yeah.
exciting. This is where all of the innovation comes in the sports nutrition industry. And that said, since we're going to talk about that innovation, I figured what better way than to start off with some supplements. So got some of your favorite RTDs here. Now, which one do you want? Do you want the Sour Patch or do you want the Warheads?
So I'm going to be really honest here. The blue Sour Patch is my go-to. So
Okay.
if you don't mind.
All right. The honor is yours. Definitely cheers. I think
Cheers.
anything Ghost makes tastes great. So great formula. So I'm excited to they don't have these in Canada yet. So hopefully they do get them sometime.
Yeah,
But,
we had a long conversation about Canada formulas this morning. So I should say, I was training back with Dan this morning at the amazing Dragon's Lair, which
amazing
is,
gym.
I feel like spoiled. Like I mean, I love the gym that I train at home. I traditionally train in very hardcore, warehouse gyms.
Yeah.
But having access to such a clean facility with such incredible machines it was a spoiled event for sure.
Folks at home, I didn't want to spoil it by not reacting after I drank this, but it was absolutely delicious. This Warheads actually tastes like Warheads. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Into bodybuilding and watching what you eat and everything else that we're supposed to never have candies and things. You kind of miss candy, and it's kind of cool to be able to have that low-cal, high-energy drinks, but actually enjoy the flavors you kind of grew up to as kids eating candy.
I mean, mine here has 5 calories. And I can tell you that if I actually grabbed a bag of Sour Patch Kids, I'd be getting a lot more than 5 calories.
Geez, of
You know
course,
what I mean? And you also, look, it's fully transparent. Full doses. I mean, we have a lot of friends in energy drinks, of course, and it's nothing against the traditional thought process of just caffeine. But getting a couple efficacious nootropic ingredients it's a cool step forward for the industry, which I know I love. But of course, a lot of people picking this up at a convenience store or something like that, or they might be interested by the packaging. They might be interested by the flavor of the candy, something like that. But anytime I get to have the taste of a candy without the calories, it's useful.
Okay, now tell me, SupplySide West, you've done day one, today is day two. I'm seeing a lot of trends here with problems of supply chain, protein powder, whey isolate, whey concentrate is really scarce right now.
Yeah.
Prices are going up. Contract manufacturers need more lead time than they had before. What are you seeing out there? Is vegan protein, am I the only one who's going to have to start adding a little bit of vegan protein to my diet? Because I'm seeing it everywhere now.
So I probably should say, we do a lot of work with a lot of different brands and formulators and stuff. So the vegan thing, I've seen it coming for a little bit. Coming into PricePlow, I never thought I'd be drinking this many vegan proteins. I'd say that,
Sure.
I'm sure with your background,
Yeah.
it's always been whey,
right.
some beef, some other stuff out there, some milk protein isolates, but there's a lot of vegan happening right now. But I would say that the biggest trend isn't a new product or a new innovation, but just how to circumvent issues with supply chain right now. I mean, we'll talk a little bit later about some of our mutual contacts and stuff. But going from 2 years ago, talking with some of our clients and ingredients about new innovation, new ingredients and stuff like that, and most recently, we're talking to manufacturers just about how can we help co-mans or brands get citrulline and creatine. Ironically, 2 years ago, we were talking about, last time I was here, it was all CBD. 2 years ago was a lot of CBD, different delivery systems and stuff like that. And ironically, now in 2021, the biggest issue is solving how to get some of the most simple commodities for people. So I'd love to say that there's a lot of new technology. I did get to sit in on a really incredible presentation by Joey Savage. He was
GLAXON.
he was presenting at a Shark Tank style event, which was very cool for investment. A really amazing liposomal technology that he found being studied by NASA for radiation therapy or protection, but he found a way to use it to increase ingredient absorption. Curcumin was up to 3,000 times, not 3,000%, 3,000 times better bioavailability.
Wow.
So I think maybe more overarching themes outside of just supply chain would be delivery systems, definitely, like you mentioned, vegan proteins, and also getting more out of your ingredients, like those delivery systems, or Nutrition 21 right now is talking a lot about Velocitol, a really incredible ingredient that helps improve the muscle protein synthesis reaction to protein.
Yeah.
I mean, they're studying 6 15 grams of whey protein, but getting better results, like better muscle protein synthesis, but also better performance, better recovery than 30 grams.
Sure. Yep.
I joke with a lot of people, never before in this industry has there been an ingredient that actually allowed you to underdose other ingredients.
Yeah,
like
that's true. Yeah.
We've battled with amino spiking, protein spiking, adulteration of supplements, but now Nutrition 21 is doing a really cool, and especially in this climate where protein prices are rising so much, have a useful ingredient that might help people cut costs, make it a little bit more efficient. Could be interesting. I think there's a lot of data coming on that.
There has to be something to innovate the whey protein market. I mean, we tried the whole hydrolyzing whey, and then the more you hydrolyze it down, it's just amino acids, and then you get that ammonia flavor that's kind of there. So you kind of got to balance that. And then they tried hydrolyzing casein, and then you get similar situations there. Vegan protein, as you mentioned, is really big. It's coming. It's not going away. Collagen. Although we saw it start, I sort of saw that continue at this show.
Yeah.
I saw gummies everywhere. Everyone has a gummy, and every company, you're going to see a lot more gummies in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And overall, I mean, one of the things I'm really excited about, and I know you've got the inside track a little bit on this, is I understand that Shawn Wells has a new stimulant coming to the market. I saw this on PricePlow on the YouTube channel a little while ago, and I'm going to be grabbing him and hopefully getting myself a dose on that. But that, for me, at SupplySide is really exciting to hear that there's new stimulants coming, and he's the guy who obviously brought us Teacrine and Dynamine, so he knows his stuff when it comes to discovering these stimulants. And I know you like your stims. I like my stims.
I definitely love my stims. I enjoy them a lot. I've pushed the limits on really what the safety data is for caffeine. It was a big thing for us 2 years ago. I got into really what is safe to consume for it. The FDA recommends no more than 400 milligrams, but the real safety data is up to about 12 milligrams per kilogram, which is a huge dose. At my last competition, when I squatted 705, I took 1,400 milligrams of caffeine. It was. I will not say that pushing that kind of dosage is comfortable, but it is safe.
Yeah, or lifting 705 pounds.
That was the really uncomfortable part.
That's the part that's actually dangerous, not the caffeine.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll let Shawn, get into the nitty gritty science on it, because that's definitely his specialty. I have to say, I was very jealous. Mike got to try it out with him. So Shawn's in Dallas, Mike's in Austin. Yeah. I'm in Jersey. So, but. Stimulants are something in the industry that, everyone loves that. Obviously, we talked a lot about the acute feelings that people love to feel from pre-workouts. Some of the most popular things are just how it makes them feel, not even the actual benefits of performance.
Sure.
And with the FDA's advisory list kind of cracking down on some traditionally popular ingredients, your hordenine, some very large brands, First Form got hit with a warning letter this year for hordenine. There's a lot of stuff being cracked down upon, and we need something that's safe and efficacious to help in stimulants. So the things I love about Shawn is that he really brings to market ingredients that help improve lifestyle, quality of life. Longevity is an incredible thing, how long you're going to live, but also the quality of that life that when you're living it is, I think, people talk about longevity a lot, but not the quality of the life of that longevity. And obviously, for me as an athlete, I'm excited to try it out and go work out.
Of course, yeah.
But there's a lot more to it as well, like focus. Nootropics are a huge thing. I mean, it's been big for maybe 3 years now, but Shawn brings a lot to the table. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, very, very exciting. What else have you seen at the show that kind of caught your eye, and that fans at home will know that, say, 2022, we might see that? Because fans, what the people don't realize at this show is when all the scientists and the ingredient companies are bringing this here, and then the supplement companies that you'd kind of go to your Vitamin Shoppe or GNC or Amazon and you'd buy, they come here to discover what's new.
Yeah.
So we're kind of in the inside scoop. With Muscle Insider, has always been about the inside scoop. And obviously, PricePlow, you guys always have the information out there first in terms of what's going on behind the scenes. And I think we found out about the RTD when they did that live taste test that you guys did on the PricePlow blog. I think you guys did a podcast that I saw it. I'm like, man, I want one of those in my hand. And just while I'm watching it with you guys, I wanted to actually drink it. So Dan Lorenko, you didn't hook me up, man. I wanted to go watch this and actually do it.
What's so funny is obviously we're like a media agency, so I'm always pushing I push my friends mostly that, I like to be the first to market with a lot of
Yeah,
this stuff,
yeah.
and we were really, really thankful that Dan came on, and now we got the first bottles of the first run. They ended up running actually some reformulations, and we got to try those too. Dan's an awesome guy, and I think what's really cool about Ghost is they both straddle like the trendy, awesome. I mean, this is like a fun just to look at kind
Yeah,
of
it's
marketing,
cool. Yeah.
but also they bring that quality, that efficacy, and so there's a reason that even though the popular criticism of Ghost is that they're pretty boys that wear skinny jeans and don't actually train, which I can definitely debunk because I trained back with Dan this morning,
Yeah.
and he kept up with me on every single weight. But
Not deadlifts as well?
no, we didn't do that.
This is a competitive deadlifter
Yeah.
here, so
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
going to touch him on those lifts.
Yeah,
But
but in terms of like rowing and stuff,
Yeah.
the guy bangs weight, but he's also the first person at SupplySide West, and so you have a brand that, is popularly criticized for not being hardcore, whatever that
Sure,
means,
yeah.
but they've brought several innovations to market. They've done some incredible things, and this is the place to do it. Although I often joke that, at SupplySide, by the time it's being exhibited, most brands have, these ingredient companies have already secured some early partnerships,
Yeah.
but you're still ahead of the curve if you're at SupplySide. You're still seeing, some early adoptions of ingredients and stuff. Collagen was big. I would say what I'm seeing right now in collagen, again, I have to give credit to Joey Savage at GLAXON, is not just, because, quality of collagen, there's been different types that we've talked about, and collagen isn't really one of my expertises, but they came out with an incredible Wonder Collagen product that actually, it provides collagen exogenously, but it also works on both the uptake of collagen and then the amount that your body synthesizes within it. So it's kind of like this feedback loop. And this is a really popular
cool.
thing that Joey does. You'll see it in a lot of his formulas all the way back to his cellular days, where he's providing you an ingredient, but then also making sure that it's working well, it's being absorbed,
Yeah.
it's being used efficiently. And you get like this perfect storm of like just incredibly intense products. But when you look at the formula, you're like, it's not popular in this industry. There's a lot of like illegal ingredients or adulterated supplements. You look at a lot of his formulas, you're like, it doesn't seem that bad, and then you take it. Well, I shouldn't say bad, but intense or whatever. Even their sleep product is one of their most popular products right now because
Tranquil?
Tranquility.
Yeah,
It
Tranquility.
used to be called Sedative, but
That's right.
the regulatory guys didn't really like that.
I could see that.
But yeah, so this year it's been so much about supply chain, and unfortunately it's, all this innovation is awesome, but it means nothing if you can't get it to the bottle.
That's right.
Now, which is just really tough. I'm going to be meeting up with Brent Laffey later, who's the owner of Armada Nutrition, one of the biggest manufacturers for Ghost, Nutribolt, some other companies that I probably shouldn't say. But
Did you just say those two?
I think I mentioned that one.
Well, Ghost discloses it right
discloses.
on their label, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
That they're that transparent.
Yeah.
I haven't ever seen a company do that before. Unless they make it themselves, like NutriBio or he.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so cool to see so much transparency in this now. Because you can have the playbook. You can. It's no secret where a lot of their branding was come up with the marketing agencies and stuff like. They're very open book, but the delivery is really what matters. And I'm sure you've seen over the years, a lot of people can bring some incredible stuff to market, but if it doesn't have the impact, if it doesn't have the adoption of the industry, it sizzles out.
That's right. The one thing I liked about Ghost when I first saw it is when I looked at the front and you see the cartoon look, and no one had done that cartoon look to that level before. But when you turned it, the back of it was good. They had good stuff in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This isn't just a micro scoop, a lot of sizzle and no real flavor to it. It actually had a really well put together formula for someone who looks at all the grams of citrulline and how much, is it a 2-to-1 ratio?
Yeah.
What exactly is it? But aside from them, looking at the trends, you talked about supply chain issues. We're also seeing things like overseas manufacturing now. Haven't seen that really pushed as much as we have now.
Yeah.
Currency volatility, problems with just getting new partnerships. We saw GNC made an announcement this week with GLAXON where they're going to kind of incubate the GLAXON brand, and you and I were speaking about this.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to see this end. Well, obviously, Amazon has got some of their own brands that are here. Everyone's rethinking it, you
Yeah.
know. So I think that although the price of protein is going to rise, you're going to have some companies that are going to add protein spiking is going to come back.
Yeah.
So let's hope that that isn't the direction it goes in. But the net is the consumer has to realize that yeah, you have to pay more for quality.
You do.
You know, and when you go to PricePlow, what I like about what you guys do is you have the PricePlow alerts. So where there's a deal on this or a deal on that. So you can be a smart shopper, but I think people should not just buy the cheapest protein, go into mass market, buy the cheapest protein, and wonder why you have gas or wonder why it doesn't mix
Yeah.
well or doesn't taste well. But definitely, I feel like you need to buy quality and quality. You know, it's like you're putting fuel into a car. You know, there's a higher grade and there's a lower grade, and I think that we have to really retailers have to raise the prices and be man enough to do that, and the distributors have to be able to do that. Because otherwise, you're just going to go to a Walmart and you're going to get the cheapest bars, the cheapest protein powder. And I think we need to change that. And the
Yeah.
consumer has to realize, and the retailer has to realize the margins that they're working on, they can't expect to continue to work on.
Right.
And we face this in Canada where there's a lot of retailers that have a set margin that their business has to be. Well, maybe there needs to be less footprint in these stores.
Right.
That there's in real estate areas that are less expensive to get your less cost down, because you have Amazon just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think in Canada, Amazon is
Yeah.
just adding 15,000 new employees to the mix, opening up their office up there. So this isn't going away.
No.
So
But one of the things that I talk about really often, and we can use Ghost again as an example. You mentioned how great their formulas are, but what a lot of people get obsessed about, the size of the scoop, how much you're getting, or not a lot of consumers. Let me disclaim right here that I am for education. I'm for educated consumers. It's all I do every day is provide education to help. But what consumers also have to realize is that while you can add everything to this pre-workout, it's going to become ineffective cost-wise, right? If the brand can't make money off of this, the brand that you love is not going to be able to stick around. So formulas need to be cost-effective so that everyone can profit, right? And they also need to be effective in the gym, right? And so often I share something that might be a little bit smaller and more cost-effective, a little bit, simpler. And I'm met with comments and, all sorts of flack, it's not enough, like all this different stuff. And one side of me wants to ask them how much they bench and really.
that's all you need. That's the only answer you need.
Yeah, I try not to be that guy, and I try to help educate that, a lot of these things are built to give you a great response. They're going to energize you. They're going to improve your performance. They're going to help you have a lower perceived exertion in the gym while pushing more, recovering better, whatever it is. But a lot of these partnerships are going to help if it's a balancing act between amount of innovation and ingredient balanced against the profitability. And let's all remember that once you're going through these channels, like you're going through a brick and mortar store, or you're going through GNC or Amazon, whatever, people take their cut, right? Every level of distribution, there's a percentage taken out. So once these partnerships can become more aligned, I was talking with Michael Bischoff from GLAXON about really what this partnership is with GNC. It's a great example here. It's really just an alignment of interests, right? GNC wants the innovation that GLAXON produces. These guys find not even just trademarked ingredients that are new to market. They find stuff in Southeast Asia that will drive your, this crazy small constituents within some very rare herb that Joey wants to find and isolate and put in his product. And so GNC is incentivized to, yes, of course, sell more bottles.
Sure.
The initial concern is, oh, well, now, GLAXON won't be able to service small brick and mortars because of this giant GNC deal, which just isn't the truth. When I was met with that kind of issues with brick and mortars, I asked them, you know what, I understand your frustration, right? I'm sure in your past you dealt with tons of distribution, but also brick and mortar, which is a really important part of the industry. They definitely educate and help. But my question to you, if you're going to complain about a partnership with an Amazon, a GNC, a Vitamin Shop, whatever it is, obviously it's the popular thing to question the man.
Yeah.
how many millions of dollars are you investing into R&D? What are you giving back to these brands? It's a tough question to ask, right? It's a tough realization that
Yeah.
yes, brick and mortar as a huge is, you know, it's helpful as a distribution, and you talked about, you came up in a brick and mortar store where you helped the community with
Yeah.
so much, and it has a huge place. But these kinds of partnerships are going to help ease issues with supply chain because they can leverage, you know, Vitamin Shop used to own a manufacturer. I don't think GNC does, but they have certain connections that
Yeah.
they can leverage, right?
Yeah.
GNC is now owned by a Chinese pharmaceutical company,
Mm-hmm.
which has long, you know,
Sure.
reaches into a lot of different areas. So how can they leverage that together to help the consumer, right? I was talking with Mike about what this whole partnership really can mean, and there are so many opportunities to help bring new initiatives, to help bring new innovation to people that wouldn't have already been getting that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're not talking about the newest ingredient that came out of SupplySide, but we are talking about solving some rather complicated issues for consumers that honestly may never really see how bad the issue was. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we have some. I'm gonna give a big shout out to Doug Miller, owner of Core
Mm-hmm.
Nutritionals, a really incredible natural bodybuilder that was quite prolific for a while. He was the first brand, at least that I'm partnered with, that I know, to come out and say we're going to be raising our protein prices, and this is why. And they gave their customers a head start, 30 days. Buy as much as you want.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm sure it worked out for him, but you know, at the beginning of, I think it was September or October, we need to raise our costs,
Yeah.
and that's just how this goes. You know, it's unfortunate, but I don't think a lot of consumers will really know how bad it is. They know about the ships waiting off the coast of California and stuff, but you know, creatine's going from being a few dollars to being $30. You know, and
It
it's
was
gonna,
$6 a kilo, and now last I heard was 6.26.
yeah,
But it just keeps going up depending on your buying power.
sure.
So okay, now going through this also at the show, I also saw esports. This
Mm,
is sort of something that doesn't go away. Obviously, cognition and immunity, we keep on seeing that. But I saw a lot of the booths now where I'm seeing more of the gaming is still going away, or you're seeing further studies in the gaming market
yeah.
that came out on the same ingredient. Are you seeing some of this too?
So I am a meathead, but I'm also huge into video games. So this was
Okay,
a really
okay.
cool. This is a really fun time for me in the last year. New Level by
Yeah.
Nutrition 21 is the first ingredient, as far as I know, to be studied specifically in gamers. There was a clinical study ran where I think they were playing a combination of Call of Duty, Fortnite, Madden as well, and so the actual claims are on decision making, as well as focus and reaction time.
Okay.
A study that was just published this week showed increased reaction time.
My wife says I get a big F on all of those measures, so I'm going to have to get some of this.
So what's so cool about it, and I think this is a really great discussion for you and me to have here, is that New Level, you know, we'll say one of the most common criticisms of it is that it's arginine bonded to silicate, which is added to inositol, which a lot of people will recognize as being the same thing as nitrosogene, another ingredient that they found.
Yes.
But during the process of studying nitrosogene, they started to find cognitive boosting benefits. The nitric oxide boosting, the blood flow that is so commonly regarded for pumps, which we
Yeah.
all love,
Yeah.
was also delivering cerebral blood flow as well.
Very cool.
So you now have the question for yourself: do you take nitrosogene and now market it to both bodybuilders, athletes, and gamers? Or do you split them into two different products where nitrosogene, every study is going to be about performance, pump, and all that.
Yeah.
And New Level is specifically marketed to gamers.
Mhm.
So because let me ask you, if
Sure.
you're a normal person that's researching this pre-workout you have and you look up nitrosogene, and well, the last 6 months it's been very popular to study in the
Yes.
esports. If you start seeing studies for esports as a bodybuilder or something, you might be confused. And on the inverse of that is if you're a gamer and you're looking up this ingredient and all you see is pump and
Yeah.
huge meatheads
Right.
with skin splitting pumps, that's going to be a turnoff as well. So just on the ride in from the airport, I don't know if you noticed, there's a it's HyperX esports stadium here now.
Wow.
It's it's right behind the Luxor. It's a whole building of just esports.
Incredible.
The elephant in the room is that esports is huge. I mean, at some of these world championships for these, you're talking about like magnitudes larger than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And Twitch is signing deals with, esports athletes for literally millions of dollars.
XB Sports, IO8 launched. Ghost
Yeah.
has theirs. Redcon has theirs. Level Up, I think it is. Glanbia just acquired, UK based. Huge in the UK. I think there's over 20 brands now in
Yeah.
the UK. Now, speaking of mental acuity, before I forget, Rhodioprime.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. NNB Nutrition does Rhodioprime. You
Yeah.
had said to me that this is a unique form of rhodiola that actually you can feel.
Yeah.
Because the problem with rhodiola, everybody, you think it works, feels good. I'm glad it's in my pre-workout. I'm glad it's in my fat burner.
Yeah.
But you're saying that this is, in your experience, when you take it, you can actually feel it, which really gets me excited. Tell me a bit about that.
So rhodiola is a it's common. It's a rather common herb, and it's not rare. It's nothing new, but it's an herb that supposedly the Vikings chewed before they went into battle to put them in that berserker state.
Yep.
It's an adaptogen. It's very powerful for dealing with stress. It is something that traditionally you can feel, but it's not a very intense ingredient usually. And what's most often standardized for is rosavins. You'll see 3, 4, 5% rosavin extract standardizations. And when we were, talking with them, what we noticed was a lot of rosavin standardizations, but nothing for salidrosides. You'll almost never see more than 2% salidroside content. And if you really do look at the data, salidroside is really what provides that mental acuity, that focus, that more intense feeling. And so it was recommended that maybe we look at finding a higher percentage. And so traditionally, rhodiola rosea is what is used for the extract. I forget the specific the second letter. I actually don't know if it's like the stratum or the family, but it's rhodiola. It's a different plant, but from the rhodiola family. And they were able to manage 6% salidroside content, which is why it's called Rhodioprime 6X.
Gotcha, yes.
In some products that I've helped formulate, we used it as a replacement for theanine. Now, theanine is a calming ingredient that's used alongside caffeine because it, kind of blunts the stimulant effect. But and I should say that there are several studies that show caffeine and theanine together have a better focus effect than either of them on their own. However, what we've really found is that there's a sedating effect to theanine as well. So while you do get a benefit out of it, putting it in a pre-workout seems almost an oxymoron.
Sure, yeah.
So my thought process with these companies was, let's replace it with Rhodioprime, because Rhodioprime will help you deal with that stress. It'll help, smooth out that stimulant, but it also has a really incredible nootropic effect with it. And now the whole berserker mode of Vikings, I haven't had that yet, but
because you kind of have that Viking look to you.
I say that when I did my ancestry DNA, there was a decent amount of Viking in me. I'm that part of me I think is Polish, but ancestry DNA told me that I might have come from Vikings. It probably is why I'm so tall. But I have found that it helps hone the stimulant effect. If anything, it's actually kind of funny. In beta testing, we found that we could give, I think, like 450 milligrams of caffeine with Rhodioprime to a blind test subject. And now this was in-house. This is not like a clinical study or anything. But when asked, what did you think about this? They'd report like 250 milligrams. Like, what do you think this feels like? I wouldn't say more than like 250, 300, but we're talking like 450 milligrams of total caffeine. Okay. So I think as we probably talked, you could catch from the beginning of the interview, I'm a huge fan of caffeine.
Yeah.
The strength benefits, the endurance benefits, the pain resistance benefits. I think there's huge benefits to it, but a lot of the, unfortunate side effects that come from most people is jitteriness or, discomfort. There's nothing we can really do about GI distress, but if we can help smooth out the caffeine, I think you could really reap a lot of the benefits from caffeine. In my experience, at least, your mileage may vary, but the Rhodioprime really helps deal with that. I'd like to see it in some other products without the caffeine, some more adaptogens. There's a lot of great adaptogen products kind of coming out now. People are starting to realize like stress management is probably just as important for a bodybuilding prep or for someone who deals with stress as your diet or your sleep. But
Constantly, yeah. And also when you're cutting your carbs back, it's really hard to relax. It's hard to get that serotonin
yeah,
production. I remember talking to Dorian Yates a bit about this, and he was saying that when they used to do the Olympia, then they go on a European Grand Prix,
hmm
and it was very difficult to sleep at all
yeah,
times because you're going show to show. He goes, and you wake up in the morning, a lot of times they're taking clenbuterol or they're taking obviously ephedrine, caffeine, aspirin at the time. And so when you work out in the morning, he goes, and then you go home, you're eating. He goes, you don't feel like eating much.
yeah,
But then he goes, you have to have a nap. Because it's hard to have a nap in the afternoon when you've taken clenbuterol, you've taken ECA stack in the morning.
yeah,
And he goes, so a lot of guys at the time were using GHB and things like that to fall asleep. Now we obviously have great sleep supplements that you have out there. And he goes, and then you have to go back that night. But he said, if you try prepping for the Olympia or these contests and you're pushing yourself so hard, if you don't sleep,
yeah,
everything's ruined.
yeah,
Because that's the one thing. You get a lot of water retention when you're stressed, and we saw that
yeah,
at the Olympia with a lot of these guys that are really tough they don't have that stage comfort.
yeah.
So now they tend to get stressed out. They tend to hold water. And then when the show's over, the next day they look great, and we see the photos, but we could go on that. Listen, the next question I'm going to ask you is, what do you see the future, 2022, the sports supplement consumers out there, just in a few minutes, what would you say to me is the next things you're going to start to see that is going to be in the marketplace?
Actually, kind of like a funny parallel that I've seen between two brands, Nutrition 21 and New Live Sciences, both really incredible ingredient companies, was switching some of their ingredient recent studies from just the specific benefits of those ingredients. So I'm talking like Synactive and Velocitol. So
Mm-hmm.
Velocitol helps with protein
Yep.
performance. Synactive helps with dealing with senescent cells, old cells. While those have very specific purposes, they started to see during other studies performance benefits. So they started running other studies where they're not really looking at the intended benefits and they're starting to look at performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a powerlifter,
Yep.
so maybe I'm biased to this, but I'm excited to see a focus back on the actual training aspect.
Mm-hmm.
We see this. I was super happy to see Hunter Labrada's
Yep.
son, has an incredible focus in all of his content on his progressive overload, actually stimulating muscle, actually training effectively in effective planes with progressive overload over time,
Yep.
and actually training in a smart way.
Mm-hmm.
I will be the first person to say I love watching the Dorian Yates. I love watching the
Ronnie Coleman doing
the
the
Ronnie
squats.
Coleman, absolutely, the Branch Warrens. Who doesn't love watching
Yeah.
that? But a focus on quality in training and performance, I think, is probably going to be where we're going next, and just more efficiency. The last thing that I would definitely say is on the horizon is longevity and just healthy living.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen cheat pills, kind of like your berberines. Yeah, I hated calling them cheat pills when that was the popular terms
Sure.
for it.
Okay.
That's come from, hey, you can eat this and then eat crap,
Yeah. Yeah.
into, okay, hey, let's look at like healthy blood glucose
Yeah.
management, and that's kind of coming into longevity and healthy living, which
Mm-hmm.
I think we can also say, are you familiar with Revive MD, a very popular
Yes.
company down
Yes.
in
Yes.
Florida?
I've seen it.
When they came out with their idea, they were told you're never going to make health sexy,
Yeah.
right? In this industry of skin splitting pumps and
Sure.
all
Yeah.
of this. We're now seeing almost every other company come out with a
Liver
healthy living.
detox and blood profile
Yeah.
lipid enhancement.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, though, I think you'd agree there was a lot of focus on, if you're going to treat your body this way, bodybuilding or powerlifting, whatever, any sport at the highest level is probably not healthy,
No.
right? And there used to be a focus on, hey, we need to take care of ourselves, and we definitely got away from that for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's just seeing it merchandised better now, but I think that there's definitely a focus coming to it, which is exciting to see.
RTD beverages, obviously, they seem to be everywhere. I don't see that going away. Energy drinks now
Yeah.
with more functional ingredients for brain health, and that seems to be good. protein, more vegan proteins. I expect you'll start to see gainers now blending that because you're getting some carbs and with the protein in a traditional vegan protein, be it a pea protein or whatever,
With vegans,
that'll be good.
yeah, with vegans, it's really exciting because we're seeing traditionally everyone worries about the incomplete amino acid profiles.
Yeah.
We saw a really cool company, IO Technology Ingredient Optimization, where they're actually changing the protein on a molecular basis to actually be more bioavailable. IOP is now a trademarked pea protein that you'll notice pea is not a complete protein technically.
That's right. Yes.
It's very close. It is incredibly close, and it's high in leucine, so it's a popular ingredient to be blended. But this IO company now has created one that is pretty almost comparative, or at least in the effect that it gives to whey protein. So again, taking things that may not be completely optimized and making it more efficient, I think is a popular thing we're going to see for a while now. Which is obviously going to be really helpful during the supply chain issues. If you can't get whey protein isolate, I've been talking with a few different protein companies like, well, if whey protein isolate is getting too expensive, then why aren't we looking at vegans? Why aren't we looking at collagens? Why aren't we looking at milk protein isolate, which contains, a lot of the naturally occurring things that we love about milk? There's a lot of other options without going towards the hydrolyzed crew again.
And you know what? The collaborations, I mean, we're seeing it here with Warheads, Chips Ahoy from Ghost. We've seen so many other ones recently that have just blown my mind to see the creativity. Dunkin' Donuts with ISO 100.
It's so cool.
It's just cool to see mainstream flavor systems kind of partnering in this category and making what would normally be an unhealthy name like a Dunkin' Donuts associated now with a health product like ISO 100 from Dymatize. So, okay, listen, this is it for this episode. SupplySide West 2021. These were some of the things. Benjamin Kane from PricePlow. You guys got to check this guy out. You guys do phenomenal work, and that's it.